Hey guys, Medic Hero here. I hope you are doing well. Welcome back to another video that hopefully should make you smile. So in this video, we'll be going over the personal statement. 4,000 characters, 47 lines. Writing your first draft for your personal statement is probably one of the most hardest things. But don't worry, you, in the next half an hour to 45 minutes, we'll be going over the personal statement. We'll be writing your personal statement. Yeah, me and you. Yeah, you get it? Okay, pause the video. Don't pause it yet. Download the links in the description below, and also get a pen and paper just in case you want to write instead of type. Easy? Okay, let's move on. Planning is so important. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Also keep in mind that your first draft will not be your last draft. So be prepared to do around 2 drafts, 3 drafts, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I did around 9, but obviously that was very extreme. Obviously there's people who do, like 12, 14. Honestly, it's almost confirmed that you will write more than 1 draft. If you don't, then that means what you wrote the first time around was perfect, which usually it isn't. But in the case of this situation here, we know that writing your first draft is very, very difficult. It takes a lot of time, but I'm going to do it with you to speed up the process. So in the Word document, you want to be writing some bullet points, so brief and straight to the point. Don't worry, I'll be doing this with you. The entire personal statement I've broken down into 3 different parts. So part number 1, the course you are applying to. Part number 2, skills and achievements and hobbies. And part number 3, work experience. So let's begin planning. Starting off with the course you are applying to. So in this, I want you to randomly note down anything that comes to mind when you think of your course. Okay, so what do I write down, I hear you ask? Mainly, why would you want to do this course? This question is just there to help you to begin thinking, like, why would you want to do archaeology, dentistry, law, physics, maths? What is the reason? What is the reason? For now, don't write sentences, just write bullet points or shorthand. I want you to go straight to the point. Get the juicy, meaty reasons as to why you want to do your course. Pause the video, write it down. But before you do, let me tell you an example. For example, I would want to study medicine, so I would write things like, I like caring for people, I like science, I like, the whole entire human body. I like, the life after medicine when you begin practicing, the research side of things. It could also be an experience from the past. It doesn't necessarily have to be, stuff that you've studied at school, because the one thing me personally I'd avoid is talk about what A-levels you did at school, or what BTEC subject you did, or what GCSE subjects you took. Like, sir, madam, the university already knows what you've done for your education. They are wanting to know why you personally developed an interest in, whatever course you are wanting to pursue. Whilst it could be that, A-level biology did stem an interest, but then you would have to elaborate on that, rather than saying, oh, I took A-level biology, chemistry, psychology. That is just pointless. There's no need to say that. That's basically a waste of words. Yes, if you say, oh, throughout studying biology, I was intrigued in the human body. We learnt about, the nephrons, etc., the brain, the different parts of the brain, the lobes, etc., etc., etc. That's fine, but saying that, I took A-level biology, that's the reason why. Well, it can also be an experience as well. Let's say, for example, you are wanting to study archaeology, let's say, and you went out with your family one day to a museum, and for the first time, your eyes opened into the field of archaeology, or exposed to this, course or this field and this study, and it really hooked your interest. So that's something that you can talk about in your personal statement, that, I went to this museum, whatever you saw at the museum, whatever stemmed and, lit that flame, you would talk about that. You may not think this might help you, but having your thoughts written on paper, when you go back to reading what you wrote, then you're thinking about what you wrote, and then you think even further. And that way, you're kind of branching off your thoughts, and hence we end up with a mind map, which is where mind maps came from, just to help to expand on our thoughts. Whilst, our brain is amazing that we can think of so many different things, but whether we are able to retain all of those thoughts, not everyone can do. And there's probably, around 40 people in this entire world that can retain each and every single thought in their brain. So no matter how simple your thought is, just write it down. Lastly, write down why you can see yourself doing this course. What is it about you that would make you suited to this course? If you still have no idea why you are suited for this course, well, let's put it to the test. Write down all the different personality traits and skills that you have. No time to be humble here. Literally write down all the personality traits that you have, the positive qualities, all the skills that you have. If you don't know of what to actually write down, look on Google, type in classic personality traits or classic, skills that, people tend to have. So I've just asked you a few questions, and you could possibly go back and re-listen to this video again, or you can pause the video now and begin writing a couple of sentences about the questions I've just proposed to you, like, why do you want to do this course? Why are you suited to this course? The next category is skills, achievements, and hobbies. On your piece of paper, or if you've got the Word document open, you will have 3 columns. On the far left, you have skills, achievement, hobby. So in this column, you are going to write down all the skills you have, all the achievements you have, and all the hobbies that you have. By the way, this is just the planning. We're about to write our personal statement very soon, but planning is very, very crucial. This is like the meaty part of your plan right here. Okay, so we've got the first column. On the far left, skills, achievements, and hobbies. You can pause the video now and write a list of all the different things that you've done in the past, 3 to 4 years. Usually I'd say 3 to 4 years, because anything later than that is tends to be when you're in year 7, unless you are at university right now, then obviously not applicable to you, but you get the idea. In the middle column, I have put what I did or what I do, in terms of what did you actually do with that skill, or what did you do with that achievement, or how did you get that achievement. And then the last column is reflection. So what did you learn? What did you gain? How did it benefit you? When it comes to writing down your skills, achievements, and hobbies, it doesn't have to be anything, spectacular and, in other people's eyes, that, getting a gold medal in the Olympics, mate, is fine. It can be as simple as possible. This doesn't have to be major, but just something that recognizes your efforts and skills, or talk about an experience which has enhanced or taught you a skill. When it comes to talking about your hobbies, basically what I'm saying is, when you're not doing work, academic work, what do you do for fun? Yes, sometimes academic work is fun, but typically, majority of the time, we are overexerting our brain. We are overusing it, and sometimes we need a break from that and do things that we like doing, we enjoy doing. We would do it for fun, we would do it with friends. Now let me give you an example in terms of filling out this table. So moi, I like magic. That is my skill or my hobby, you can say. In the next column, I would write what I did. What did I do with that skill, that hobby? Well, I'd go to family events. I'd perform at family events. I'd perform at school. I'd go to magic conventions. I'd be watching webinars online about magic and the different techniques, the sleight of hand movements, and then I'd also watch other magicians perform as well. So there were various different things that I did with that skill, with that hobby. The last column is reflection. Like, what did you learn from it? What did you gain from it? Obviously, I'm not going to be telling you what tricks I learned, and obviously, by the way, the magician never tells the secret. But looking at the bigger picture, what did I actually gain from it? Well, I built up confidence. Because I was performing publicly and alone as well, that meant I had to build up the courage to speak in an audience. I'd also overcome fears, the social anxiety that comes with it as well, speaking in front of a huge group of people and making sure that your hands don't shake when you're holding the cards, and so you don't mess up and drop it on the floor. That's happened before, but you get the idea. So number one is confidence. Another one is dealing with the pressure of trying to hide my tricks. So you would have people saying, oh, do it again, and you know the second time you do it, they are trying to find out what or how you did the trick. So there was that pressure as well. But then if I look at, you know, the science, the social science of it, then I also learned about body language. I learned the psychology behind the body language, and as a result it led me to build up my emotional intelligence. So I was able to recognize when someone is sad, when someone is happy, when someone is nervous, angry, or when someone is hiding something, or when someone is stressed but trying to show that they are happy. There are various different things that I've learned as a result of this, and it's called cold reading if you want to have a look at it. But that's what I've learned, and that's the reflection part of it. And the reason why I put that is because number one, it kind of links to medicine. Psychology is one of my favorite subjects, so I involved a bit of psychology into it as well. And whilst writing all of this, you want to keep in mind your course. So if I was doing medicine, like I did right here, I kept in mind that I'm doing medicine, psychology links to medicine, social science, body language, being emotionally intelligent. Doctors have to be emotionally intelligent to figure out whether a patient is distressed or they are happy, and as a result of that they are able to pursue certain actions to resolve the situation or whatever it is. So give yourself 5 to 6 minutes, pause the video and have a go at writing or filling out this table. Once again, don't be too obsessed with writing sentences. Literally bullet point, say, what achievement you got was, you became school ambassador. What did you learn from it? Time management. Simple as that. Lastly, let's talk about work experience. Write down any work experience you've had regarding your course. Whether that's a school trip, a hospital shadowing experience, or anything really that gave you insight into your course. So talk about an experience which either enhanced a current skill or you learnt a new skill as a result of it. The whole point of this was to jog your memory. Give yourself 5 to 10 minutes, pause the video and write stuff down. Finally, we have finished the planning, and hopefully that was helpful. And now that your mind is jogging and you've got all these thoughts and stuff, let's begin writing. Let's begin writing the first paragraph. Feel free to pause the video whenever you want, but usually I'd say pause the video after each question I propose to you, so then you can write something down, and that way you're saving yourself time and you're creating a personal statement as you go along. Also, don't set yourself a maximum, set yourself a minimum in terms of how much you want to write. So you want to set yourself a minimum of 3 sentences, 4 sentences per question, and don't worry if it gets too much, because we can cut down later on. We can pick and choose which are the best bits, but you can't necessarily pick and choose when you're under the limit. So you want to exceed the word limit, and typically that's the stuff I do. When I'm writing essays, I always write above the limit and then I end up cutting down. Yeah, that's a nightmare in itself, but it's much better than writing under the limit. So for each of the 3 categories I mentioned previously, I am now going to propose to you a few triggering questions. So before I begin, I'd just like to say that don't be too obsessed with the formatting, how many paragraphs are you going to write, etc., all of that stuff. I've given you 3 different topics, so assume it's 3 large paragraphs. Later down you can chop it up however much you want. So beginning with your course. So the first question is, why are you applying for your course or courses? In other words, why study this course? For example, why medicine? Why dentistry? To help you start off, let's make it very, very simple. Because remember, writing your first draft is very, very hard. Just starting it off in itself and you have no idea what to write is very, very difficult. But let's make it very, very simple. And later on we can change it. But for the sake of gaining some flow, let's keep it simple. You can write something like, I believe I am suited for this course because... Okay, why are you suited for this course? Or I want to study this course because ... Or just for the sake of getting your ideas literally on paper, or your sentences, your words on paper, or your sentences on paper. Just keep it simple. Don't worry about, how simple it is, because we will be changing this later on as well. As firstly, these are very cliche sentences, very, very common. And number two, we want to stand out from the crowd as well. What people tend to obsess over is whether it sounds, sophisticated. Yes, if you sound incomprehensible, it will make you sound smart, but then for the other person that's reading it, it'll take them time to actually figure out what you actually are trying to say. So let's keep it simple. But later on, we can dash some, long words here and there, but obviously not too much to the point it doesn't really make sense and it breaks the flow. So really, by now you should have around, 3 to 4 lines explaining why you want to do this course. But if you're stuck and you are looking at your plan and you're sat there looking distressed, here's what you do. Speak to people. Speak to people who are already in your desired course, or speak to people on the internet. There's a ton of people on the internet. Speak to people in person, over Zoom, Skype, etc. All of that stuff. Go out on Instagram and message people. Slide into their DMs and say, hey, I want to know about your course. So it's as simple as that. For medicine and dentistry, it's quite easy because there's a lot of medics out there that publicly say that I'm a medic. But for other courses, you can look on social media as well, but you can also contact other universities, contact lecturers and say, hey, can you put me through to someone who's studying your course? I would like to ask a few questions. There are things like, UniBuddy. I think every university has that as well, pretty much. I think not every, but where you have an allocated student and you can ask them any questions about the course and they'll be happy to explain to you. Moving on to the next question. Talking about the suitability. Why are you suitable for your course? We've already written this down on our plan, so really this should be a lot easier. What is it about you? What skills, what personality traits do you have that matches the course? Let's say, for example, if one XYZ course has a lot of social interaction, then in order for you to kind of suit that course, you would also want to be social as well, or have some degree of emotional intelligence. And this can be around, 3 to 4 lines minimum, and you can write a little bit more than that. But begin looking at your plan and start writing. So pause the video once again and continue writing. So another question to think about is, what stemmed your first interest in the course? Is it the topics? Is it the job life? What is it that you like about the course? For example, me, I remember a magician showing me when I was around, 14, 15, and they stopped their radial pulse. They were alive, but they could control their radial pulse, and that to me was like, whoa, I need to know how to do that. And then obviously I looked into how to stop your pulse, and then how you go on YouTube and you look at one thing and then you lead to another, etc. So then I ended up looking at human anatomy, the body, and all of that stuff. And so from there, it kind of stemmed my interest. And I could put that in my personal statement. It's simple, but it's something unique and something personal to you. When I say unique, I mean personal to you. Obviously, people will have, similar, reasons as to why they want to do this course. I'm not saying that you have to be totally different, but what I am saying is make sure that you are being honest with yourself. Moving on to skills and achievements. Universities would love to see all the skills and achievements you have previously gained in the past. Write sentences on a skill that may help you on your chosen course. For example, medicine, and one of the admired skills throughout medicine is time management. And to back this up with an example, I used to work at a shop. Whilst also working at the shop, I'd also be studying A-levels, and whilst studying A-levels, I had other extracurricular activities that I needed to do. Whilst doing that, I also had time to give to myself, just to sit down, relax and chill. So that element of time management was a very important skill that I learned back in A-levels and GCSE. But then once again, this links to the course of medicine, and medicine involves a lot of time management, seeing one patient after another and making sure you give equal amounts of time to each patient. So pause the video and write skills that would be admirable for your chosen course. Now talk about any achievements that you are proud of, or something that showcases one of the admired skills for your course. One example would be leadership, and a time where you may have showcased this is when you were, head boy or head girl, or if you were at university, then maybe you were part of a committee and you organized a society event or a social event, and as a result of that, it shows elements of responsibility and other time management and leadership skills. Now, another question to propose to you is, if there was one achievement that was above every other achievement, which one would you choose to tell everyone and why? This question here is kind of prioritizing all of your achievements, and so putting the best one forth is actually saying that this achievement here, obviously I gained a lot from it, is basically what you are saying. And obviously there was a lot of work that went into it that helped you to gain this achievement. Lastly, talk about your hobbies. Talk about the things that you do to relax. When people talk about hobbies, they usually talk about being committed and saying, I go swimming every Saturday for a break, but then it also shows commitment. You're giving yourself time to actually relax and chill. So that work-life balance element is very, very important, especially for courses like medicine and dentistry. So pause the video now and begin writing. Moving on to work experience. What did you learn from your work experience? How has what you've learned helped you? So another question to think about is, without the work experience, what lessons would you have missed out on? Whilst I know due to COVID you may have not been able to get as much work experience, but then if you think about it, why do they ask you to get work experience? Insight into the course. There are various other different ways to get insight into your course. Whilst work experience is first-hand experience, but then there are other, third-hand and second-hand experiences out there. For example, there are, opportunities like reading a book about your course. For example, if you're interested in medicine, you would be, you may be interested in reading about Henry Marsh's life, his biography, or, The Prison Doctor. There are various different books out there giving you insight into the real life of medicine. Or you may want to listen to a podcast. For example, Scrubbed In, their podcast. They interview various different, doctors out there doing various different things. So listening to podcasts, reading books, reading the internet, reading blogs, looking at YouTube. YouTube's got a ton load of resources. There are people who vlog their journey throughout medicine, and well, hopefully I will be, but there are various different people out there that you can actually gain some experience and see, this is what medicine's like, etc, etc, etc. Whilst also talking about work experience, you can talk about jobs that you've done, any placements, any voluntary work as well, but focus on what is relevant to your course. But then saying that, I worked at a fast food restaurant, and I can easily link that to medicine. So whatever you write down, link it to your course. For example, I worked as a cashier, also maintaining and looking at the grills, the burgers on the grills. I was looking at trying to answer any delivery calls, packing the food for the customers. So I'd be doing like 4 or 5 different things at once, and as a result of that, it would be a very pressurizing environment, learning to deal with the pressure, the stress that comes with it. Also learning to deal with any mistakes that you make. For example, if 4 or 5 customers came into the shop and I took another customer's order, then I could possibly mix up people's orders, and that wouldn't be good, and that would lead to a mistake. But as a result of that, I would then have to deal with that mistake and de-escalate the situation, which is also kind of similar to a clinical setting, where in case you do a mistake in a clinical setting, you give a patient the wrong dosage, the patient is now angry at you. What do? You de-escalate the situation. There are certain protocols that you need to follow. The same here. I also did something similar, but in a non-clinical setting. The main thing about this whole entire personal statement is I want to know what you learned, not what you did. You telling me what you did, fine, that's cool. You've done, the fancy jazz. You've, looked at some open heart surgery. You've seen, first-hand experience of another different type of surgery, or you've shadowed a GP in a clinic. Like, cool stuff. What did you learn? As a reader, I don't get any insight from you as an individual. I want to know what you learned. Did you pick up anything, or were you just there absorbing what you saw, as in literally what you saw? I saw open heart surgery, but did you actually learn anything from that? Otherwise, it was pointless. You can just do the same thing, but watch on YouTube. So pause this video, give yourself 5 to 10 minutes maybe, or even more, and continue writing. So that is it. So now you kind of have your first draft there in front of you. All there is left to do is either add more stuff to it or remove some stuff. But like I said before, writing your first draft is probably the hardest thing. And now that you've got something written in front of you, now you can, add stuff, remove stuff. You can change the grammar, the flow, add different vocabulary in your personal statement. So it's all good. Now, if you would like me to check your personal statement for you, then click the link below, send it over, and I will check it for you. So if you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, share, put the bell icon on. And I hope this video made you smile, and I shall see you in another video.